Hello and welcome to Decoding Helix episode number 8. In today's episode, we're actually going to discuss a few more of the technical aspects of starting your own business in Australia. So stay tuned and hopefully you're going to be able to learn a couple of new things that you may not have been aware of. Let's go! While today's episode might not be as riveting as you would like it to be, as riveting as I would like it to be, I thought I should go over some of the more technical aspects of what it is to start your own business, and what are the things that you need to watch out for, and what are some of the things that you may need to consider. Some of these I wasn't aware of until, a little bit farther down the track, and I should have done my homework a lot better than I did, instead of leaving it up to chance, because I'm just one of those happy-go-lucky kind of guys. But seriously, you need to think about these things because they're going to matter, not just down the track, but almost immediately. Whether you're aware of them or not, you could be pulled up on some seriously, crazy things that you may not have considered before. So, look, let's start at the beginning and go from there. I guess that's as good a place to start as any. So when you start your own business, you're going to need to think up of a business name. In starting that and in looking into a good business name for yourself, I recommend that you make it something, simple and snappy, something that people can remember, just off the top of their heads. So not something that's going to be crazy long or whatever, but also just as importantly, you're going to need to do a little bit of digging and find out whether or not there's already a business with that name that you have in mind, or anything way too similar to that. Because if there is, you're not going to be able to take that name, and you're going to have to think of a brand new one that's going to suit your business anyway, and still be something that is easy to remember for anyone that comes across your business. So that's one of the things that you're going to need to consider. Another one is, obviously, taxes are very important. So you have to remember that whatever you're going to charge your clients, you're going to need to set aside that tax, whatever it is. For me, I believe I was told about 30% of, income, you're going to have to set it aside for tax. So that's what I've been doing. But again, you'd want to check with, someone who's qualified in your state and knows a lot more about these kinds of things rather than a guy that runs a podcast. So don't take my word as gospel. Go and do your own homework and make sure you find out all those details, because they are very important. And trust me, when tax time comes around, you don't really want to be scratching your head going, well, I didn't know, because that's not gonna fly in anybody's airspace. So that's definitely one of those other things you need to bear in mind. Another thing that you're definitely going to need to do is you're going to have to apply for an ABN if you don't already have one. Now, to apply for one, all you got to do is go online to, abn.gov.au or something like that. I actually forget, but you can Google it and you'll be able to find it fairly easily. And then you're going to need to register for, an Australian business number. But you have to figure out what your business type actually is. Are you a sole trader? So a sole trader basically is someone who is starting their own business, but all of the expenses, all of the, all the money that they're taking in is not separate to their income. So when you come tax time, you're going to have to pretty much declare all of that in your earnings as well. So that's why you want to put 30% aside, because you're pretty much gonna face the music if you don't. And you don't want to be caught out with that, because whenever there's money involved, people get pretty cranky pretty quickly. So you definitely want to have that covered. The other thing that I wasn't aware of until a few months down the track. When I say a few months, I mean maybe 6+. I'm absolutely terrible at this, by the way. I like I told you before, I should have done my homework. I should have done my due diligence, because this could have hurt me pretty badly, and I just wasn't aware of it, and I should have been. So, you know, what you have to do, as well as get yourself an ABN, is register your business with ASIC. That's gonna there is a fee attached to that. So the ABN, getting an ABN is free, but registering your business with ASIC, there is a fee attached to that. I'm not sure what it is off the top of my head, but I think it's around the $50 mark if I recall correctly. Don't don't quote me on that one. But you can definitely find out. So make sure you do that before you start your own business as well, because that's going to pretty much tell you whether or not you can take that business name, whether it's available, and all the rest of that good stuff. The other thing you're going to need to really research on is whether your product or service, whatever it is you're going to offer with your business, whether that thing is infringing on somebody else's product, or service or intellectual property. Because if you have an idea and you may think it's an original idea and it's a great thing and it's going to help so many people and it's going to help make you famous and get you those millions of dollars that you absolutely know you're going to line your pockets with, then you absolutely want to make sure you don't want to share any of that with anyone else or get dragged into court because of it. So absolutely dig around and make sure that you're not stealing somebody else's idea. Because if that does happen, you are going to be in a world of hurt. I'm sure you already may be aware of those kinds of things. But look, I really kind of want you to stay away from doing something like that, because you want to start a business. You don't want to start off on the wrong foot, and you definitely want to make some income out of whatever it is that you're going to offer. So absolutely doing your homework should be number one priority when you do anything. So if anything, learn from my mistakes. Don't do what I did. Like the industry that I decided to get into was, for the most part, I guess, simple, because I don't have a physical product to offer. I don't know if that's the right way to word it, but I don't have, like, say for instance, I don't have a toy that I got to physically pack in a box and ship off to somebody. So there's a lot of things, because mine is a service-based company. I don't have to, work out all of the laws and go through all the regulations that make sure that my product is compliant with Australian standards. So that's definitely something that you're going to need to keep in mind. Now, don't let that keep you away from actually having a physical product. Because if you have something that is really cool and it's a game changer, absolutely do what you have to do to get that product out there. It's going to be really good for you, and you're going to learn tons. But not only that, you will actually see people coming over to you going, you know what, this is one of the coolest things I've seen in years, and I'm so glad that someone was able to put this kind of product out. So by all means, just do your homework, do your due diligence. Don't do what I did. Figure out all those things before you actually, take the first step. And believe me, that is part of laying down a solid foundation. And you want to have a solid foundation, because if you start out flawed, it's going to take a serious amount of work and backtracking and figuring out where you went wrong to try and fix what could have been avoided in the first place. So be smart about it, and absolutely look into some of the things that you're going to need to know before you start out your own business. Now, depending on what state you're located in, you're going to need to find out the local and state laws that govern your sector. So whatever it is that whatever industry you're getting yourself into, you're going to need to find out the rules surrounding that, because there are definite things that you can and cannot do. And they're governed by, local governments or state, and you need to figure out all of that kind of stuff very early on as well, so you don't step on any toes and get yourself in any hot water. Okay? It's, again, very important, and it's part of laying down that really solid foundation that you're going to need to be able to get yourself into a real situation where your business is going to flourish, and these things from your beginning are not going to come around and start wreaking havoc in your business's life. You also need to try and figure out some, you know, not some, but you're going to need to understand the laws around the taxing of your service or your product. Because again, things do change from state to state here in Australia, pretty much like they do everywhere around the world. So if you live in, in New South Wales like I do, then go and find out from, the New South Wales government what the laws are. Again, if you live in Victoria, same exact thing. Find out from the Victorian government what their rules and regulations are around your industry. Same thing goes for every other state: Queensland, Northern Territory, Western Australia, Tasmania, South Australia. So just remember, wherever you are, take a look at those laws, those regs, and understand them, because not understanding them could really penalize you later on down the track. And it might not even be all that much later. So it's definitely something you need to keep in mind and keep a track of. Now, with all of what we've talked about so far today, I'm actually going to include all those links in the show notes for you guys to have a look at and to try and get a better understanding of it. And hopefully that's going to help you out a little bit, because I was unaware of some of these, some of these websites that the government had put up where they have all these rules. And look, believe me when I tell you that they're no fun to kind of go through, because they're long-winded and, they pretty much can get very boring, if I'm going to be quite honest. But at the end of the day, it is very important, and you do need to understand everything that you read. If you don't, seek some help. Make sure you do get it and do understand what you're getting yourself into and what you're in for. And I guess this is the less fun side of, having your own company and starting something up, because you're going to see a lot of guys on the internet, and you have to remember, most of these people that are on YouTube or anywhere else that I've seen, some of the bigger names that everybody quotes, even in Australia here, they're from like the States. And in the States, things are different, rules are different, and there are things that we can't get away with and things that we can't do. And on the flip side of that, there are things that we can do that they can't do. So when they give you advice about do this, that, or the other, it may not apply to Australian regulations and laws. So bear that in mind and make sure that you have a complete understanding of what you are doing and what you're going to do in the future with your company. So there's that. Look, if there's any questions that you guys have regarding this kind of thing, like I said before, seek help. Make sure you check out the websites, check out all those links. And if you're unsure about tax status and something like that, maybe go and see a tax agent and have a chat with them and ask all the questions that you need to ask. So definitely write some of these things down, if not all of them, and have them on hand, and make sure that you go through all of them and understand these things for yourself. It's extremely important, and it is something that I wish I did. I mean, I did a few of those things before I started my company, where I should have done all of them. So being diligent at the very beginning is going to pay off in a major way at after you actually start your company up. And not a lot of people are talking about that side of things, because it's just not exciting. Imagine like an hour-long video on talking about like how to do your taxes properly, how to what statements you absolutely need to keep a track of, what do you need as far as keeping a track of your receipts and everything that you buy for your business, and so on and so forth. I'm falling asleep talking about it. But look, the fact of the matter is that all of this stuff is important, and it will count towards your success. So if you really want that success, you're going to have to really kind of nail these things down and understand and look out for, and kind of really wrestle with these things. That they might not be the most exciting topics on the planet, but they will count to your future and to having a solid future. So it's definitely something that you're going to need to, you know, just keep in mind. It's part of business. That's what you have to remember at the end of the day. It is part of business. You may just want to go out there and talk to people. You may just want to go out there and hand business cards out. But if you don't have all that structure supporting you, then it's all going to come crashing down at one point or another, because someone is going to poke around in your business because it's their job to do that. And they're going to find some flaws, and they're going to, pull on that string, and the whole thing is going to come undone. And that is one thing that I don't want for you, and that's one thing that I don't want for myself. So you need to really make your business bulletproof as much as you possibly can. Whether your product or whether your service is going to fail, it shouldn't have anything to do with this process. So try and think of it as a completely separate thing to your business, as far as the setup process. But it's absolutely something that I wish I knew when I started, because that would have helped me out a lot. But I thought I'd share this with you because, like I said, I haven't found a lot of, blog posts that say you need to do this, this, and that. And let's face it, if you do find a blog post or, a YouTube video or anything like that where people are talking about all these magical things that I'm talking about right now, chances are you're going to tune out, or you're going to fall asleep, or you're just going to not bother in the first place. I can't blame you. I don't know if you've already tuned out of this podcast. If you have, yeah, okay, well, I can't blame you, because I feel the same way about this kinds of stuff. But at the end of the day, everything that I do with my business is my responsibility. And if questions are going to start getting asked, I'm the one that's going to be in the firing line, so I need to be aware of all this stuff. And if I'm not, then, I pretty much got no leg to stand on, which is sad for me, but great for the other person that's just doing their job. And you can hate on them all you like, but at the end of the day, it is your responsibility as the business owner to, come up with the right answers. So, whatever it is, look, it's not that difficult. It's only going to take, in the grand scheme of things, it's only going to take a little bit of time to seriously go through and sort all these things out. But you will thank yourself later, because you've done it once. You won't need to really go back through it again and do the same sort of process on a yearly basis. You do need to keep your finger on the pulse of legislation changes and different laws that might come in and stuff like that, for your industry. But at the end of the day, just make sure you're doing the right thing by yourself, for yourself. There's nobody, like for me, there's no real safety net. There's no one that's going to catch me if I screw up. It's just me in the ground. So it's totally up to me. And that's why I thought I'd share this with you. And that's why I thought I'd make a whole podcast about it, is because nobody really kind of sat me down, and I didn't have the foresight to really ask those questions that I knew would be boring. It's almost like my mind was kind of like, yeah, just go for it. Just go for it. But I didn't worry so much about this aspect of business, and I should have, because I could have been caught out something bad, and I really can't afford something like that. I'm pretty sure that you guys can't either. But anyway, without rambling on too much, I think I'm going to end the podcast here. But I, again, want to thank you guys for sticking around. If you've fallen asleep, hopefully you had a blanket and a comfortable pillow. But wherever you're listening, I just want to thank you very much for tuning in and for subscribing and following this podcast. Like I said, I'm hoping that, I will make this podcast better as we go. I'll have some really good information for you, and some guests that will bring their insights and their information into this as we go along. But, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, I'm going to ask that you please do that. It's always going to help us out. And you know what? It's going to bring you guys some seriously valuable information. And I'm hoping that what you've learned here today, you can start applying that to your business if you haven't already. And just start looking into those kinds of things that will help you out and help you set up a business that will last for ages and ages to come. So if you're looking to start something serious, then by all means start off on the right foot. If that's the only thing that you're going to take from this podcast, then I hope that that is that piece of information that, you know what, if you're going to do something, do it right, do it once, and that's pretty much all you're going to have to really worry about. So again, thank you very much for listening. Hit that subscribe button. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. I do read those, so please let me know what you guys think. If this is good content, if this is stuff that you've considered before, if it's old hat or whatever, let me know, and that will help me to understand what direction I really need to take this information in, so that in upcoming podcasts you're not going to listen to me just drone on about things that you guys already are aware of. So anyway, without further ado, I hope you're having a good week. I hope you're taking care of yourself, and until next time, have a very good one. Okay, so take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.